which you've kindly sent for us. As you say, I have a collection here. I'll try to group them together on similar topics. As you might expect, the bridge is a top topic. So we're going to start with that. We'll probably unravel various layers of this as the conversation continues. I'm going to start with this one, which was submitted by Louise, who lives on St Philip's Road. If Mill Road Bridge closes, how do you think this will affect neighbouring roads and areas? Has a data impact assessment been conducted? I know when there's first number of occasions, one of those periods when the bridge has been closed, you think, is the traffic going to be going somewhere else? So I'll run through the question again. If Mill Road Bridge closes, how do you think this will affect neighbouring roads and areas, and has a data impact assessment been conducted? William, I'll start with you.
Sure. You want me to stand? Long story short, clearly the surrounding roads will receive the displaced traffic. That's known, that's been shown. There were impact assessments done during the in the lead up to the decision and things, and there is data to show that. The previous times the bridge closed, it was displaced down Tennyson Road very heavily, and of course Coldham's Lane becomes a lot more chock-a-block when you can't cut down Mill Road as well. But I think on that point I just want to quickly say, because this has all been said before, the problem with closing the bridge I see is that as soon as you put one stoppage in, you then necessitate putting another stoppage in where the traffic is displaced. For example, they're going to now look at Tennyson Road next. If you close Mill Road Bridge, then they're going to say, well, we're going to need to have another modal filter on Tennyson Road, and as soon as you put one on Tennyson Road, then you're going to need to put one somewhere else, and it's never going to stop. And so I just feel, personally, I very much hope that they don't close Mill Road Bridge, and I hope that we can actually come together with a more positive way forward that doesn't just include closing roads, because it doesn't solve anything, it just pushes problems aside.
Thank you, William. John, what's your view on this? What do the Dems have to say?
Well, my view on this is, after the local discussion, decision was made by the county council to close the bridge, and I'm broadly in favour of this. I think it's extremely important for the badge holders and taxis will still be able to use the bridge. And yes, there will be some displacement of traffic, but there will be improved bus route passage along Mill Road. These things are never going to be a perfect solution here, a perfect solution there. But I think overall it's the correct decision to go ahead with this and to implement it as it's been decided to be implemented. As I understand also, I feel that people may well disagree with, but I feel with a majority support that the people living immediately around Mill Road, and I'm one of those people. I don't want to close roads just for the sake of it, but I cycle back and forth to work, up and down Mill Road. It's not a terribly pleasant experience, and I would like to see how things can be improved by...
What about William's point? If you shut one road, you shut another, you shut another, you shut another, and you just end up with road restrictions so nobody can really move anywhere after a while.
Well, I hope more people take the bus.
For example, 10 o'clock of an evening, will there be a bus, or will you have to wait 45 minutes in the rain for one to come along?
Yes.
And then get cancelled.
Well, at that time of the evening, is that if you're going to drive, then you can still drive.
I might have gone to 196 to have a cocktail. I might want to have a bus back home.
Yeah? Yes, no clue.
Clearly people disagree on this, but I would like... I'll be honest and say, when I first heard of the idea several years ago, I thought, no, that sounds a bit strange, but the more I think about it, the more I feel that with respect to traffic, the increased number of people living in Cambridge, the increased pressure on the city, we have to take initiatives like this.
Okay.
And I think Mill Road is such a special place. I think it would benefit significantly from being quieter. It's not a wide road. It really struggles to cope with the traffic flow that it has to tolerate at the moment. So that's my opinion. But I fully respect that everybody agrees with that. I think it's very, very important that we keep discussing whatever we end up doing. I hope we can work together to make it as successful as we possibly can.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Zachary.
Remind the candidates to answer the question and not to go off on a tangent.
Yeah.
Well, the simple answer is obviously, of course, it's going to add to the traffic on neighbouring roads. We're very, very fortunate to live in a historic city, and I think we all see the benefits of that. But the reality is that that comes with inherent constraints. The problem is that there are really only 3 major points where roads cross the railway line in the city, and one of them is on Mill Road. And we can also, I think we'd all probably agree, that if we were designing a city from scratch, a road like Mill Road would not be one of the main arterial routes into the city centre, but it is. And you can't ignore reality when you bring in road closures. What you will end up with is increased gridlock on Coldham's Lane and increased gridlock on Cherry Hitton Road. Coleridge Road will become a nightmare as well, and you will see huge traffic problems building up around our city. You can't close roads when you've got no sense of where you're then going to alleviate the pressure that creates, and you can't do that in a city as old as Cambridge. So of course the road closures are going to have the problem. What we need is common sense solutions from the council and from the GCB, which are, I would argue, an oxymoron at this point in time. But what we need to actually pursue is, as you say, you talk about buses, of course we need better buses, but the solution there is to invest in the bus network so that people actually make the decision, oh actually, the bus service is sufficiently rapid now and takes me where I want to go, that I can get there in a time frame that suits me and my family and my needs. The problem is at the moment what we're trying to do, and as we've shown in the congestion charge, maybe consultation survey, is force people onto an inadequate bus network. That doesn't work, it won't work, and there are many, many reasons why people can't take a bus or can't cycle. And that's not just the disabled. We have this entire discussion around the congestion charge. Lots of people need to use their car, not all the time, but for various things. Unlike yourself, I often do find the need to drive my car over Mill Road Bridge, and I'll certainly miss it if that vital route goes. And I think it's worth talking specifically about Romsey and about the impact it will have. Those of you will, I'm sure I'm not the only person who's noticed that particularly at the moment it's become quite clear how precarious the situation of this community is if that bridge closes. You've got the co-op closed at the moment as well, which means that we've essentially got along Mill Road, just the longest this side of the bridge, otherwise you've got to go to Sainsbury's at the other end. Access to food, for example, in this community, within easy access of yourself, is actually getting quite restrained. Access to vital services.
Lane, just in case you're not aware. You know?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, that's not necessarily as convenient as it is to get to our place. You're going to end up with a situation where Romsey residents are forced to drive miles out of their way, potentially, to access certain services which are the other side of the bridge, if they can't take the bus or the cycle routes that some people are insisting upon.
So
I don't think that's fair on residents.
So you're saying that if the bridge should close, then the impact on the neighbouring roads might actually be more traffic coming through. Is that what you're suggesting?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Zachary. Let's move.
Could I just have the question again, please?
You can indeed. If Mill Road Bridge closes, how do you think this will affect neighbouring areas, and has a data impact assessment been conducted?
I don't know if the data impact assessment has been conducted, I'm afraid. One of the major impacts will be, obviously, if people still need or want to drive their car, then obviously the traffic's going to be moved elsewhere. It's that, it's that taking responsibility. Do you need to take the car now? Can I access those things in a different way? And it can't be seen as a single issue. The provision of local food shops is key. But when you have large businesses coming in, taking up obviously an individual who owns, runs a very good shop on Mill Road, which is essential for the local community. And the more people are supporting their local community, their local shops, the less need to drive out to various places to get their things. And that's the whole issue with, I feel, the loss of community sort of cohesion, is when people need to move elsewhere because their local shops, for whatever reason, haven't been supported and aren't able to keep going. The local, I'm fortunate enough to be able to afford to go to Arjuna. You know, it's something I do regularly, I get to know the people there, and it's far more a sense of connection, because you get to know those people, and they get to be part of that community, and you know the money you're spending is staying within that community. It's not disappearing elsewhere, outside or possibly outside of the country. So the need for, gone off the subject, I do apologise, speak to my wife.
The impact on neighbouring roads.
If people
particularly.
still feel the need to drive, and there isn't the alternative, then of course it's going to impact. But do people need to drive everywhere they need to go?
Yes.
If there isn't the alternative, and that is the key issue, and that's you do need to drive elsewhere. Well, that's difficult, and that's needing to think. Because walking here, we went to the restaurant on Mill Road. We walked here, my wife and I walked here, and it's can we get any more cars on the roads?
But one might imagine, though, that if were the bridge to close, making a judgment on either side, there would be a period of adjustment, and that might mean a period of 2-3 years, maybe more, when there is more traffic on the roads because these replacements and alternatives haven't emerged, and that doesn't help.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the fundamental issues with wanting to shut the road is reducing air pollution. That is a fundamental issue. If you want to get rid of your electric car, that you can't get rid of air pollution by driving. It's that sense of, that is a fundamental issue. Several hundred people die a year in the Greater Cambridge area because of asthma. Is that not a problem? Is that not a problem?
Because it's not true what you've said.
So people don't suffer from asthma in school. One of the key
I'm still here, but I'm trying to
can we not talk over each other so we can hear the speaker?
One of the key issues I see as I cycle around Cambridge is the use of pet hate of mine. Idling cars. Outside the Catholic church, all in school, the kids are playing in the playground.
Behind buses, waiting bus stops.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the pollution they're breathing in is immediate.
Yeah.
And it's affecting our children, it's affecting our, people who are infirm, and that is the key issue. It's thinking about other people in the community that aren't here now saying, yes, I find it really difficult.
But if you push that, if you push that onto, I live in Central Romsey, have done for decades.
Sorry, we've had questions, we've written questions down.
My point
Can
is,
we just have questions we've written down, please?
I think I was
Can I just say something? There are people here that
Shall we pause for a moment? Shall we pause for a moment and try and keep the
If
speakers?
you push traffic into my community, there's not that many, then is that okay for you to?
Well, I think people need to think about, why do I need to drive in that area?
Why Brian doesn't need to drive?
Okay,
Because
well,
the
then you have to think about
You said every week.
to take on that responsibility of driving. Why should we push the council to having more suitable buses? Better cycling opportunities. It's the responsibility of individuals to think of that and not rely on people to do what.
But what about the other roads? They keep
But
rotating
when
there.
was Mill Road built?
But it is pushing the problem.
When was Mill Road built? 1840s. When were the road round here built? 1890s.
Okay, I think we're getting a bit of drift here. Let's thank you. Let's go with Dave to get his views. Remind the question, just trying to keep on track of it. If Mill Road Bridge closes, how do you think this will affect neighbouring roads and areas? And I guess you might be in best place to tell us about what kind of data impact assessment might be conducted.
Let's start with the data. The data from when the bridge did close, and was closed for a considerable period of time. Sorry,
And is this the
are you going to carry on interrupting everybody as they speak? Can you tell me what your name is, and then I'll know who you are?
My name's Neil McCarthy. You know me.
Right, and you live where?
I live in Cambridge, or Cambridge
No,
City.
you live in Romsey.
Dave, if you can answer, just answer the question, that'd be a lot easier. And everybody else, let Dave answer the question, and then they can go ahead.
They're going to keep interrupting.
I'm not
Okay, right, hang on. Okay, let's start at the beginning. There is a data assessment that's done, and the data suggests that initially there was an increase in traffic on Colquinsway. That phased away as people, I suspect, decided it was easier not to use their car and actually use a cycle. Exactly. Now, I've knocked on around around 3,000 doors in Romsey in the last 8 weeks.
knocked on mine.
Oh, I have. Okay. I've knocked on around 3,000 doors in Romsey. We held a consultation, or the GCP held a consultation. Nearly 2,000 people answered that consultation, which is a great deal of people. 72% of those people asked for 72% of those people asked for the bridge to be restricted. It's not going to be closed. Buses will still travel across it.
No, can I ask you please let Dave answer the question and then talk after it?
Dave, the assessment, what period of time are we talking about? Because obviously Mill Road Bridge, we know obviously it was closed during the pandemic when obviously traffic levels all over the place are different. And there's been periods subsequent to that. So can we sort of pin down as to...
Well, the bridge was shut for about 18 months, properly. Or yes, it was restricted. Well, it was buses and cycles still went across it. But I just want to make a fundamental point. In this room, there's a lot of acrimony. And I think that's really sad. And the reality is... Oh, I'm sorry. And the reality is, it has absolutely nothing to do with the district council, the city council. They have absolutely no say in whether the bridge remains open or shut. William has said that he's come here to stop the acrimony. All I can see is acrimony. All I can see is people arguing. If elected, whoever's elected in Romsey can have absolutely no say at all on what happens with Mill Road Bridge.
But the city council, like the county council, feeds into the GCP. The GCP that's right. That feeds back to the county council.
Move closer to the people.
You're absolutely wrong. It's not a GCP matter. The GCP are going to fund the closure, the restriction, if it takes place. They don't make the decision. The county council make the decision. It's got nothing to do.
Well, they're the statutory body at the end of it all. The GCP can't do anything in terms of traffic because that's the responsibility of the county council. But we know, I got a consultation from the GCP. It was all about traffic, and it was this thick. So they clearly have a view which city councillors as well as county councillors can feed into.
It has left all those levels and has gone to the county council. It is now in the hands of the court. If it wasn't for the court action that had been taking place, that bridge would be closed or restricted. And there is nothing that any city councillor can do about changing that. And yet this whole debate that here tonight, not talking about the really serious issues caused by a lack of funding by the Conservative Party. We are sitting in this room and people have come to make...
Answer the question.
Sorry,
Why are you changing? Yeah, answer the question. You're changing the topic.
Sorry?
You're changing your topic. You're moving what the question been asked you.
What was the question?
What's the question about the Mill Road Bridge?
The question was,
if the Mill Road Bridge closes, how do you think it will affect neighbouring roads and
well, I think I've answered that question.
No,
I think
no,
you have in which case...
No, hang on, I just need to say what is important, what is very important about this bridge is that I have knocked on so many doors in Romsey, probably spoken to half of the people in this area, and most 70% of those are telling me they want the bridge restricted. They've said that in a survey. They said it in an earlier survey. They said it in our polling done on the doors. So there is clearly a democratic will to want that to happen. And this is what people tell me. I want my children to cycle. But I'm scared to allow them to cycle.
There's a cycle bridge for cyclists. Yes.
No.
I don't know who said that.
Can we move on? We've spent a long time on a matter which is the county council council
Nothing to
issue,
do with
not a local council issue, and we've got lots of other issues.
No, I'm very much aware that I can assure you we will move on in just a moment or two. I just wanted to say somebody made a point about using Carterbridge for cycles. I feel that feels a little bit out of the way, actually, if truth be told. But thank you very much, Dave. We'll come back to you later, I'm sure. You were saying to the roads which it's going to go.
Well, basically they said this is the WSP conclusion to the data analysis, and they basically said.
And who are WSP for those who don't know?
The ones who work for the GCP doing the data analysis and things like that. They said that there is no clear-cut evidence that the Mill Road bridge closure created significant additional traffic volumes on side roads such as Tennyson Road or Coleridge Road. This is because it is not possible to disaggregate any impact of the bridge closure from the general variations in traffic during the pandemic. That's what it said. If I might just bring in one more piece, which I found very, very interesting and significant. Very quickly, there was a resident on Tennyson Road who, by the way, is a retired chemical analyst, and he has been measuring the levels of nitrogen dioxide in his own living room for a hobby. And he actually...
Why can't he collect stamps?
Maybe he does. And the letter was hand-delivered to WSP during the consultation, and he wrote a lengthy explanation about how every time the bridge closes, the traffic backs up on Tennyson Road and the nitrogen dioxide goes up in his living room. And then it goes back down again when the traffic clears. So the impact of pollution is direct and immediate.
And why would I have it?
Say that again?
Why would I have the pollution?
Well, this is the argument this is the argument because you're only going to push it from one place to the other. So it's a difficult.
How can we reduce traffic?
Well, that's a different question. All I'm it was only in relation to the impact assessment and the information.
One at a time. Can I say the traffic impact assessment indicated that traffic reduced when the bridge was closed. Another question
during COVID.
It was not during COVID. It was COVID.
Okay, I think we may.
And I really think.
Okay, perhaps it's time now to move on to another question.
Absolutely. The one thing I will say on this.